We are going to dig deep into the wonderful world of retirement. A defined contribution plan puts you more in control of how you save for retirement, and it puts you more in control of your investments. With Pathfinder, it is that you contribute 4.5% of your pre-tax compensation, and your employer puts in another 6% on your behalf.
Welcome to For the Health of It, Because You Can, where host Susan Robinson dives into the 8 categories of wellness with experts from various fields. We offer tips and information to help you thrive in all areas of individual wellness.
All right, so we're talking about what the state offers as far as retirement plans. A lot of changes happened over the years that we need to know about, employees need to know about, that maybe they don't know about. And if they're new employees, could be that they need to make some decisions. So, Autumn Fourkiller, you're going to talk about the what we call defined contribution plans. And so what all does that mean? I know that you've got some ideas on what you feel like is going to be helpful for us as employees, like if I'm a new employee, because I'll be honest, when I first started with the state, it was 2007, and somebody brought me in and said this and this and this, and that was it. Didn't go into anything. So that's why I'm bringing you ladies in, because I really, and Ava Doyle is here also. Both are with OPERS. And so we're going to really get it all out here and see what we can find out. So
we are going to dig deep into the wonderful world of retirement.
Yes.
We do hear that a lot, that people come into the state and don't really have an idea of what retirement is even, except that it's like when you stop working.
Right.
But how do we get there? So I'm going to cover Pathfinder, which is our defined contribution plan, and Ava will cover our defined benefit plan, which is more like the pension system.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a new state employee and you are not being hired with the retirement system, as I was, so you're not getting a deep crash course into what it is, I would say a defined contribution plan puts you more in control of how you save for retirement, and it puts you more in control of your investments.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Pathfinder came on board when? Because I know when I started, it was OPERS was the only thing. I mean,
November 2015. So I think, is it the 11th or the 15th? The 1st, yeah. November 1st, 2015. If you're hired on or after that date, you'll be in Pathfinder. If before, it would be OPERS.
Okay. So that means you can choose how much you want. You know, where OPERS, it was a set thing. I mean, with the defined benefit plan, it was a set thing no matter what. Mm-hmm. But with this, it's totally different. Can you explain that difference?
Absolutely. So with Pathfinder, it is that you contribute 4.5% of your pre-tax compensation, and your employer puts in another 6% on your behalf. Mm-hmm. But if you so choose, you can up that amount, and then we'll match you at 7%. So it'll be a total retirement savings of 14% of all that, of your pre-tax compensation plus your employer's compensation.
All right. So actually, who is eligible to get that? And that would be, you have to be hired after 2015?
Yes.
Okay.
So with Pathfinder, there are 2 components. As I said, we have that 4.5% employee contribution and the 6% employer contribution. That whole number, it encapsulates the 401A plan. Any other contributions you make are going to be in the 457B plan, and those are going to be all you, all employer or all any extra contributions, and then whatever your employer matches you.
Okay, so that is that also called a Sooner Save?
No, that's all under Pathfinder. Okay. Sooner Save is actually under OPERS. Yeah, it's another kind of savings plan, but Ava will cover that in more detail.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I didn't, because when you were describing it, I thought you actually were talking about Sooner Save.
Yeah, it's a little confusing. So we have these like 3 words we throw around, which is OPERS, which is our organization, Pathfinder, which is the actual plan, and then Empower, which is the record keeper for all of that.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
So people get confused. They're like, so my retirement account is my retirement account is OPERS if they're under Pathfinder. And we're like, nope, it's Pathfinder. We're OPERS. And then Empower is just keeping the record of what you're contributing.
So I remember Empower, and I remember there being a representative that would go around and speak. Do you guys do that? Do you go to agencies or?
We do. That's actually something we offer. If you have a large enough crowd, right? If it's just 2 or 3 people who really want to know about retirement, we suggest they come to us or that they attend a webinar. But if your agency is interested, we will come out. We will give a presentation. This year, we're traveling a lot more because we're kind of hitting that post-pandemic, like we're able to again.
Yeah.
So we've headed to Tulsa. We're going to go to Lawton, Ardmore, but really we'll go anywhere that you want us.
Right.
And then Empower does their own. If you're more interested in like investment strategies, things like that, we would recommend you talk to Chad Guest, who is the Empower, kind of our Empower contact.
Okay. So you do host information seminars or you would travel to an agency. That's good. So when how soon should people begin to think about?
Immediately.
Yeah. So not waiting until a few years before you're ready to retire.
Exactly. So as I said, like Pathfinder puts you more in control of how you're saving. It's not a set it and forget it type deal. Don't drive yourself crazy and look at your account every 2 days because that will just be maddening. But we suggest like every quarter is a good, once you get those quarterly statements. So you come into Pathfinder, you're hired, you come into Pathfinder about a month later, once you make that first contribution to your retirement account, which is Pathfinder, you're going to get like a key pin or like a pin or like a key talk ID, and then you'll log in. Actually, the biggest hurdle we face is getting people to log in. So if you're listening out there, please log into your account.
I do get an email every time saying, here's this, sign on and take a look. And because it's so much better than getting the big bulk of papers you used to get.
No, absolutely. Like the onboarding packet is a lot.
Yeah.
In my work from home station, I have just stacks and stacks of paper about retirement. But most people don't have that on deck. But yes, it's never too early to think about saving for retirement. Things are a lot different than they were in say my mom's generation. And I have to be thinking people are living longer, inflation,
yes.
Prices are rising, and what's retirement going to look like for me? I would rather not eat beans every night for dinner for my golden years, but if I have to.
Right.
Yeah.
And I know in these seminars they educate you, don't they, on kind of how to maybe calculate what you will end up with. I remember attending one myself that said, and I can't remember, but I remember looking at everything that I would have, and I think I was okay. But also, people are working longer.
People are working longer.
Definitely working longer.
And we get people even just in the defined benefit plan who are really hesitant to retire, even though they've put in all these years of service. And I'm like, it's okay, you can go. But with Pathfinder, of course, you have to be cognizant, am I ready? Do I have enough saved? Can I save enough? You can if you start early and you really think about it. But
so that's why I think that it's good that you said, start immediately attending seminars and learning about this. Be invested, because I didn't. Honestly, I didn't. I started in 2007, and so it was I just thought, well, that's it. And so I hadn't even thought much about it. And so I do think that I hope our listeners actually will consider getting in touch with you guys. They're both from OPERS. We may switch over to Ava Doyle, who is actually going to talk about the one that I'm on, the defined benefit plan.
So obviously OPERS is, like you said, the defined benefit plan. A lot of people know it as the word pension.
Right.
But this is the term that they use in the financial world. And basically it's for anybody who was in the program prior to the legislation that occurred in November 1st of 2011. So anybody who was in that program prior to that, as long as you had 8 years of full-time participating service and you were vested, then you are definitely a part of the plan.
So has that changed, like how many years you have to work to be vested? What is that?
So vesting, obviously, it's basically vesting is kind of a way of I don't want to say it's like a investment. I guess would be the best way to say it, but it's how long you've been in the program and how much money has been invested into you. So that allows you to be able to later on, once you've hit that eligibility of that, to be able to take all the money that you've accumulated in those years. If you don't hit your vesting number, then you're not able to get all the money, that the contribution of what you've put in and what your employer has put in together.
Right. What's that ratio? What are, like, how much percent am I putting in compared to what the state's putting in?
Yeah. So anyone who's in the program is putting in 3.5%, and then the rest of it, your employer is putting in certain amount of money into that, and then of course there are administrative fees. So it pretty much comes out to 20% total.
Okay. All right. So again, even though it's a pension plan and a lot of people that are on it have worked many years,
right?
When should they start going to? I mean, I know it looks like you guys do some pre-retirement seminars.
Absolutely.
Is that only when you're within a few years, or what do you suggest?
So we suggest that people start looking about 2 years prior.
Okay.
And the reason for that is, within 2 years, we've all seen it, that you're making a certain amount of money today, and then you have like a market steady increase, or as I like to say, the legislature bumped their head and, oh, guess what? We all have a 5% increase. No, nothing against the legislature. I love you all. I've worked with you all, so please don't be mad. But you never know. They might all of a sudden, something crazy happens and, oh my gosh, I've got all this extra money. So that's one of the reasons why we want you to know 2 years ahead. One of the things that we do recommend, and I want us to, I wish we could really, especially those of you who are retirement coordinators, to help us with this, is encouraging a lot of those who are about to retire to get a benefit calculation. And the purpose behind that calculation, as I like to call it, a financial roadmap,
okay,
that will allow people to understand how much money they can receive based on their, it's a 3-part system, their final average salary, where you take a certain amount of, it's a calculation where they look at like a mean or average of the monies that you've made at the highest. They take also your service credit, which unused sick leave can be added into that. And
okay.
also, and then also, there's a calculation, that's in their compensation calculation in there that that you multiply all together. And what's great about that is once that's been calculated and then it's broken down to what you would make annually and then monthly, and then of course adding taxes and any other reduction factors and everything, it will give you that financial roadmap of, if I leave this month, this is how much I'll make. If I leave this month next year, this is how much I'll make. If I leave this month 2 years from now, this is how much I make. So I am encouraging everybody who hears me, and especially our retirement coordinators, please encourage that benefit calculation, because that's going to answer a lot of questions. And that's going to play a very big role in whether or not you're ready to retire today or you want to wait.
Right, right. So, so we have Autumn and Ava here today talking to this and giving us some great information. And it's never too soon to get in and start looking. When we get the newsletter, what are we looking for whenever we get that newsletter?
Well, that's awesome. I love that question because we work so hard at that. So if you get the winter newsletter, you're basically getting information on we call that kind of the annual report, where you're getting an idea of what we've accumulated over the year and the investment strategy, just being as transparent as possible so that people know, oh, our money's went here. Oh, it was invested this way. Okay. And we have to be very not only transparent, but accountable. So you're going to see in there information on we had from this organization, they looked at this, they calculated it. And so it allows you to know where your money is going. We are ruled by, I don't say ruled, but we do have a board of directors, and they are the people who make a lot of the decisions on how the money is to be invested properly. So you're going to get information on that through the annual reports. That's also information that goes to the governor because, as you know, as a state agency, for those of you who understand, we've got to get that information to them so that it, goes into the budgeting process, and they can ask that information like during session. So that's one thing in that, as well as other topics we may talk about. So we may talk about information like, hey, do you want to see the cost of health care by walking? How does that help you? Or going to see about the cost of do you really have the cost to retire? I mean, and what does that look like? And I'm glad you mentioned about the people are living longer, because that's something I want to. I'm going to try to pitch and talk about that, because an article I read is people want to retire at 60, but they're living till 100. So what do you do when it was? So those are the kind of topics we may talk about, and as well as just information about. We've got these pre-retirement seminars coming your way. We have these other seminars and so forth coming your way. So that's really what the newsletter is going to be about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We like to think that the newsletter is like a mix of business, which is like, hey, the member portal's now open. You can get your 1099Rs, and also fun. So like whatever Ava and I dream up to, like Ava mentioned. And we also love to like spotlight our retirees. So it's like, what does like a beautiful retirement look like to you? Like, what are you doing now? Did you go like back to work? Did you go travel the world? Like, did you move? Did you stay in Oklahoma? Like, what does that look like for you? I think it can be really encouraging for other members like of our the retiree community to be like, we left state employment and this is how we did. Because people are so scared sometimes of leaving. They've worked their whole lives. I understand that. It's hard to part with that, but.
It is. And I will tell you, I know of some people that left and then within a year came back just because they were afraid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, yeah. And one thing I do want to mention in our pre-retirement seminars, I'm sorry, I didn't go in a lot of detail with this, but we do have information that not only talks about how to do the retirement application, the benefit calculation, deadlines, and how you work with your employer coordinating with that. But we also talk about returning to work. There is information that that our members would need to know to stay in compliance. So we do go into a pretty lengthy explanation of that. So if you decide, like I always make the joke, you're in retirement and everything's great, but then after a year, there's only so many judge shows that you can watch, which apparently I found out there's a lot of them. and the grandkids, you love them to death, but you are ready to get away from them.
Right.
Then we talk about how you can get back in. So that is something to keep in mind for those of you who are like, nope, I'm going back. It's okay. Yeah. We'll tell you how to stay in compliance with that.
Okay. So there is, like, I believe, don't you have to, you'll learn, I guess, in through your educational things, but like you have to wait a certain amount before you can start to contribute again?
Depending. Yeah. Up to a year, but it depends.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more thing I wanted to talk about was Sooner Save. That's a defined benefit as well.
Well, actually, that is a defined contribution. So the thing about I know, so you have to keep in mind that prior to the Pathfinder plan, everybody was on a that pension plan,
Right.
But there was no supplemental way of how people could save for retirement that allowed them to be in control. So that's why the Sooner Save plan worked. So we've all been in the break rooms. I've been in state employment long enough to know the conversation. Hey, if the state donates $25 and I donate $25, and we've all had this conversation.
Yes.
All have. So if you've been in state long enough, we've all had this conversation. So that's kind of how Sooner Save works. It's basically allowing those who are in the OPERS plan, and even I know there's some people who might work in some education agencies. So when I worked for the state regents, we had, and I think Department of Ed, I believe they're part of it too. It's not a lot, but that allowed them to be able to supplement in addition, because it is only 3.5% pension plan, so that you're contributing. But this allows you to be able to save more money and have more control. So that's where the Sooner Save program comes into play.
Okay. All right. So, and the state pays the 25, right?
Right.
But you can increase.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the state, I'll just do really, really quick, because no one explained this to me from when I worked at the House of Representatives and then worked at the state regents and then worked at another agency and then now here at OPERS. So the way I can explain it is the 401A portion, which you'll hear this a lot for a lot of you Pathfinder people, you'll know. But the 401A portion is the state giving you that 25.
Right.
And then the 457 portion is you. And that's where that comes in. And that's really important because it goes into withdrawals and when you can withdraw and when you can't qualify. It goes into all that. So that's what the Sooner Save program is. It's already, it's for those who are in that. Now, if you're with Pathfinder, that's already built into your program. So you cannot be in Pathfinder and say, I want to be an OPER or be in Sooner Save.
Okay.
You already have that built into that that program.
All right. I did want to finish on. Tell me about the new Roth IRA. I know. I noticed you rolled your head.
Roll my eyes.
I'll go. Oh, Roth. This has been like a launch, like many months in the making. We're super excited it's here. Roth and pre-tax. So originally we only had a pre-tax option, right? So all your funds are pre-tax. What that means is that you're going to pay taxes on your withdrawal, right? Roth simply means a post-tax basis. So it means that you won't pay taxes on like your investments and your earnings after you retire. So you'll pay them all during the time that they're growing and they're being invested.
Right.
So when I talk about pre-tax and Roth, it's just like the most simple. We'll keep it really simple. When do you want to pay your taxes? Now or later?
Right. Well,
if it's now, Roth. If it's later, pre-tax.
So is the Roth available only to those?
It's available for Sooner Save and for those in Pathfinder.
Both?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because remember, OPERS is our only defined benefit plan. People invest that for you. Sooner Save, you're in charge of. Pathfinder, 401A, and 457B, you're in charge of.
Okay.
The thing about Roth, the thing that we constantly keep telling people, Autumn gave the best example. Do you want to pay taxes now or later?
Mm-hmm.
For someone who's maybe starting off their career in the state, and we're not talking about, you're 22 years old, you could start at the state at
18.
So,
yeah, or later. Yeah,
later.
I agree.
So we don't ever want to put it on age. But let's say that you're kind of not making as much money and you're looking at your finances and you're going, or to pay taxes right now, that's fine. That would where the pre-tax would come. But if you want to pay them now, and go, you know what, I just have this feeling that when I retire, those medical bills coming, or really unsure where I'm going to be, then maybe paying for the Roth plan would be better today. So yeah, I mean, Autumn gave the best, simplest example. That's just something to keep in mind for anybody.
Is there a minimum to get started with that?
Get started with Roth.
Mhm.
For Sooner Save, it would just be 25, and then Pathfinder, it would be like whatever is over that 4.5%. So even if it's just 1%.
Okay. So, what about the Roth? I mean, I know you said 25, and you can pay more than the state's 25, but do you have to do a certain percent on a Roth?
No. So it's more like when you start with Roth, like you say, like I want my contributions to be Roth. It's like you can do pre-tax, Roth, or both. So you can divide that as you wish. So you can do like, say you're investing or you're contributing an extra 2.5%. You could say like, hey, I'll do like 1% pre-tax and like 1.5% Roth. It's like in your control.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I did not know that.
So you can divide it. You can pick one. It's really up to you. And we have like plenty. This is like where, again, we say like, please log in, because there's like a pre-tax versus Roth analyzer. It like has you ask questions. You can make an appointment with Chad Guest, who is our like retirement plan counselor for Pathfinder and Sooner Save. Yeah, all your resources are there. And of course, we're here.
Yeah, of course. Well, Autumn and Ava, you guys have done a great job explaining it. Is there anything else you want to talk about that maybe I haven't asked you about?
Yeah, I'd like to say one more thing. So obviously we do these educational programs. So we have the Pathfinder information seminars. We have the Roth information seminars. We have the pre-retirement seminars, which are obviously our most popular. But again, but I want to say something to our retirement coordinators. I know I'm pushing them hard, and so I'm sorry if you're in human resources or you're payroll, you're an office manager, and you're like, I don't need pressure. So, but I do want to let you know that we do offer there are town halls and of course information that we send out to you for education. One of the biggest concerns that we hear from a lot of our members is a lot of our our liaisons between OPERS and that they're not as equipped with information. So I highly recommend, especially those of you who may be executive directors or people who are over or operations deputies, to please ensure that, or the chief human resources director,
Right.
to make sure that if you have a liaison, that they are staying up to date. You are the people who help us ensure that your retiree or your future retirees or those, well, anyone gets information. So we've been having these, they call them the DC Plan town halls. We have them once every 2 weeks. You can log in to get information on that. And of course, we have information periodically, such as Roth or retirement seminars. So I just really want to make I really, really want to encourage those retirement coordinators, especially if you're brand new and this is all new. You've got onboarding and payroll and everything. We see you, we know you exist, but we really need your help. So please let us be a resource to you, because we get questions all the time. I mean, we got a question. We got this comment today at a seminar. I wish someone would have told me this in the beginning. And we hear this all the time. And so, not trying to like step the retirement coordinators. But like I said, if you are an executive director, someone in major importance, please make sure that you help us and help the coordinators be able to get this information. When it's time to retire, people can retire with peace.
Right, right. And the sooner the better. To me, when you first start working, you should be thinking with retirement in mind.
Absolutely.
Very
Absolutely.
true.
And so, yeah, we need your help. Those of you who are in top power, and of course the RCs, please help us.
Thank you, ladies, for coming and informing me, because I'm one of them. I did sign up for the Roth webinar just to find out more about it. So
We can't wait to see you.
good. Well, I appreciate you guys coming by and chatting with us. And you listeners, we hope to see you next time. So have a good day.
Thank you for listening to For the Health of It. For more wellness tips, information, and videos, visit the Thrive webpage. For questions, contact us at thrive@omes.ok.gov.